Alright, as you can see, I've gone ahead and grouped this whole rig thing together so it's one object. Well, I mean, it's not technically one object, it's one group, but you can just select all of them, hit Control G, and then name your group. So and that way, if you need it, you can hit Shift G and then select group. Yeah, first off, select one element and then hit that, and then there you go. You have the group selected, and then we're going to just move this group to the third layer. And we're going to add a plane. So I just want to deal with that in here. Go ahead and scale that up. Let's add a point lamp. Alright. Then we can go ahead, Shift G, group, move it over to here. It's a lot easier to do testing and stuff over here. So, and then of course if we hit play, we can drop down to the floor and walk around with our little rig. So, since it's a nice big plane, we can sit there and really test it. Alright. So, next we need to set up some animations. As you can see, when we walk around, the gun just stands still. You know, it's absolutely rock hard solid. So we would need to go to Game Logic. We're going to add a sort of walk animation. And I've already animated this, so it should be, I believe, 120 frames in the arms. So we're going to go there. Zoom in a little bit. So we're going to add a sensor keyboard and just our anim forward, whatever, oops, W. We're going to add an actuator action, and our action is we're going to name it walk anim, and we're just going to choose the animation from our list here. One player, female, arms, hip. So, of course, when I append it, for some reason it just isn't in there. So one of the things we can do is we can hit Shift F1 to append it, and we'll try and append the action. Although, of course, that comes with its own issues. So models, humans, female soldier should be in there. Then action, walk, link append from library. Alright. And the start frame, let me see what I have those frames set to. It is should start at 1, I believe, and 120 I think is the last one. Alright, so let's go ahead and make sure that that did import correctly. So let's go to animation, because 9 times out of 10 it's just not going to import correctly. So, and of course that weird issue where I can't zoom in all the way. I'm really not sure what causes that, but let's go ahead and go to there, and then we'll go to our, oh, there's, okay, we have too many of these. Let's go ahead and delete that, and that'll clear out when we close it. And let's rename that. Alright, so here's our walk animation. Let's go to frame 0, and of course, as you can see, it pops it over to there. And those aren't even scaled correctly. I haven't run into that issue before. Of course there's a new issue. Usually what you do is it's the same size, and you go ahead and you put it over here, and then you search for delta, animated transforms to delta. I think you have to do it like twice. There you go. But now apparently I have to. This shouldn't have. I never do scale, so it shouldn't have put the scale as a keyframe. So for some reason it's still large. So let's go ahead and see if that magically fixes it without me having to do a bunch more work. Nope. Alright, well, let me pause and do a bunch more work. Alright, another whole long process of scaling it in pose mode and doing apply transformations to delta or animations to delta, whatever that is. And we're back up and running. We now have the walk animation working correctly. So that's good at least. I really need to look into linking files. Seems like that might be easier. Just had issues with it in the past when I tried it. Alright, still looks good there. Alright, so let's go into the game logic editor and select our arms armature there. So let's go back to walk S-gun. Alright, good. 1, 2, I think it was actually 119, but whatever. We'll do blend in, because if you switch animations a lot of time you want them to blend in. And we're just going to go ahead and pop that over, and what should happen when we hit play here is, actually let me go into textured. When we hit play, it should start playing the animation. However, you notice I've stopped a long time ago and it's still playing. That's very easy to fix. Let's go ahead and select the armature again. And we're going to go from play to loop stop. So what that means is it'll stop when we stop walking. So when we hit play, keep walking forward, keeps playing, stops playing, start walking again, walks forward. Of course it kind of doesn't go back to the center. That's an advanced tutorial thing that I'll probably show later. So, but for now, you know, it'll go back and forth when we walk, and it'll stop when we don't. You'll notice though when we move backwards and from side to side, it still doesn't, you know, doesn't do that animation. So that's another quick, simple fix. What we'll do is go back to this, and we're going to add another keyboard sensor, and then do anim underscore B, which is anim back, and then we'll go ahead and pop it to that, and that'll connect it to that. Now, when we play it, you'll notice an issue. Nothing's happening. You're like, well, I had it for forward and backwards, and that it's not going to work because it's on an and though. So that means that and we didn't even set a key anyway. That would be S, but the thing will still be the same. It requires that and that to be up and running for that to actually trigger the walk animation. So all we need to do on the logic here is change it to an OR. While we're at it, let's go ahead and add another keyboard sensor, and we'll do anim left, and we're going to do A for that, connect it up, add another keyboard sensor, and do anim right, and for that one we're going to do D, and connect that up. And so now when we play it, it's going to always be swinging back and forth. If we wanted to have different animations for walking, you know, because right now we're walking back and forth like this, if we wanted to have different animations for that, less gun wiggle, you know, because you're moving side to side, you know, you could always have a different animation play for those too. So, all right. Now we need to we want the gun to fire, and to do this we'll actually have something, we'll introduce something called states, which is pretty important. They're not really covered too much in the tutorials I've seen, but they're essential to creating good animations. Now what we could do is just have this gun fire, and it would play the fire animation, but you could even have it play until it ends, but you could sit there and click the mouse multiple times, the fire button multiple times, and it would have to keep playing that animation. There'd be no real way to get it to stop from sending that sensor to the actuator. You do that with states, and so what we're going to do is, this is our states thing right here. So visible and initial, that shows that this is the initial state. When you first push play, this is the state that things start in. So we're going to add a sensor, and it's going to be a mouse, and it's going to be a left button, since that's going to be our fire button. So let's hit fire, and then we're going to add a state, add actuator state, and it's just going to be set state, and we're going to click on the second one. So we're going to do sgun fire for the state, and then we're just going to connect these two, and we're going to rename this to an OR. Let's do an AND. Okay. So what that does is, when we hit the left mouse button, it's going to go and enter that state, that second state. And so what we'll do is we'll go to this next state here. You notice none of them are, nothing's on there, because this is an entirely different state. So what we want to do is, since this sent us to this state, so we know that we're going to get to this state when the left mouse button is pushed. So we're going to add a sensor and always, and we're going to add an actuator of single fire, an action, and that's going to be our single fire. And we have that set up for the arms already. It's one player F arms hip single fire, and that should be, let me check how many frames that is. It should be 30 frames. We'll do a blending of 1. So that's going to play that when we click that left mouse, it's going to, that's an always, so whenever we click the left mouse, that is going to happen, period. So let's go ahead and connect those two up. And then we, along with the fire, we'll probably want to play a sound, and you'll have to download a sound for that. I haven't downloaded one yet, but I'll go ahead and find one when I pause it and go there. And then we can also, if we want, we can send like a message, and that message could be, maybe if you have bullets, if you're using bullets for collision detection, like physical bullets, you can send a message to shoot the bullets. I'm probably going to be looking into ray collision. I'll see what works best for me. And that's where you would send all of these things. So, but how do we get out of this state? That's going to be another sensor, and that's just a simple delay sensor. And that's, the delay is however long you want the input, the left mouse input, to be paused. I also, when you have this here, they can't enter, as far as I know, they can't hit the WASD, so they can't move when firing. So, but let's delay 80, and then we're just going to go to state, and we're going to call this back to, ready state, and then that's going to be, I believe we'll want to set state, and we'll set state to the first state. Let's drag that over. And I think that should be right. Alright, so let's go ahead and pop into here. So when we hit the left mouse button, it's going to do the fire animation. Oh, you can push the keys. I didn't realize you could walk while firing, but alright, so yeah, when you hit the left mouse button, it will play the full fire animation, and you can hit the left mouse button all you want and it's not going to replay the animation or restart the animation or do anything until you have the entire action done. And even if you did like a loop stop or whatever, or play end, whatever it was, if you were spawning bullets or collision, and every time you click the mouse, it would go ahead and it would spawn those bullets or collision detection, so they could fire as quick as they could click the mouse. So at least that's the issue I ran into. Maybe there's an easier way to do this, I don't know, but this is the way I like that way actually. It separates things out and gets things all set. And this is where you would also add the shotgun noise. So that's the very basics of that setup. Now what we need to do, and I noticed this animation was broken, so I'll have to probably fix that animation for this, is for our gun rig, what we're going to do is we're going to make it play that animation as well. So, and actually you might want to put the sound in the shotgun. I'm not sure. I haven't really tried that, but all right. So we can tell this to play the animation several ways. We can click the left mouse button, but that's not great because then every time we click the left mouse button, it's going to play that animation, which we don't want. So usually what we're going to do is we're going to go to our armature right here, our arms armature, and in the second state we're going to add an always, so that under the always at least, so that it always sends it when you go to that second state, and it's going to be a message, and a message is how you send things to other objects, and we're going to tell this to play the animation when we hit that button. Let me hold on, check something. Alright, I did have that right. You have to add an actuator message. We'll bump that up one, and then the message we're going to send to gun rig. Really, I still have gun rig with user 1 there. That's just gun rig though, so I think I gotta delete that one, where that is. Subject is going to be single fire since we're just doing a single shot. This is the pump mode. And then the text, I don't think we need anything there. We're not. We'll see. So we'll go into here, into that, and add a sensor message when it receives a message with the subject of single fire. It's going to go ahead and let's add an action here. It's going to play, I think just play, that's all, yeah. And then it's going to play the spaz 12 action, which I need to rename, which should also be 30 frames. Blending of 1. Bam. And we could also add the sound here as well. Let's see, I think I have an actual sound down, not one I was going to use because it wasn't the greatest, but let's go ahead and see if I can find that. That's right there. That was easy. So the shotgun blast is going to be the place stop, and it's going to, oh shoot, I don't need to do that. I think I just have to have that. Alright. Alright, so let's go ahead and test that out. See if we missed anything. Well, that's still playing, but we have absolutely nothing going on. Let me see, 2 gun rig, single shot. So going back to the ready state. The message isn't hooked up, so it's probably not going to send a message. Alright, so always send a message. Okay, alright, let's go ahead and try that again. You also notice that if we hold down the forward, hit the fire, it doesn't do that walk animation. So that's something we'll have to take a look at as well. In the meantime though, I am going to might have to hit tap. Let's make sure my SPAS 12 action actually works. I think I saw that it worked, it just didn't work correctly as usual. Importing problems. Well, okay. And it's not even... Oops, that's not what I wanted. Oh, it's tied up into this one? Of course it's way crazy wrong, but alright. Alright, well, we'll have to deal with that later, but that's pretty much the part 1 of this, well, technically part 2 of the rig tutorial, so we're going to pause it there and pick it up later where we get some of the kinks worked out.